All right. Hello and good morning. How's everybody doing today? It's a beautiful Saturday morning, and it really is. It went outside, it was a little cloudy, but it was actually nice weather. So, super enjoyed it. Hopefully, you guys are having a beautiful time where you're at, whether you're watching this recording, whether you're watching this live. I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. My name is Philip Ramos, and I am a coach and trainer for a company by the name of Three Key Elements. And I am the certified Gallup Strengths Coach for this organization and team. There's Three Key Elements is a self-development company here in Utah. Their goal is to empower people's minds, help them manage their emotions, and really teach them how to take over their lives. And so I'm grateful to be a part of this team. I'm grateful to be involved in what I get to be involved, and I'm grateful to show up as a coach, as a Gallup Strengths Coach. Coaching is what I love to do, but more importantly, strengths is what I love. And so I'm super excited to be here. But before we jump into our interview today we're going to be interviewing Jill Wolk, and we're going to be talking about how she thrives in her strengths. One of the fun things that I get to do each and every week is I do this twice a week, every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. and every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. And I love having a chance to interview different people that have different talents, different themes, different things that motivate them. And it's fun to explore how Gallup Strengths has impacted each individual in such different ways. But before I go into bringing on Jill and introducing Jill, I want to take just a few minutes to give you a little bit more information about myself. This is my beautiful wife, Melissa. We live in Sugar House here in Salt Lake City. Absolutely love Sugar House Park, and we'll always take time to get out there and do our little walking. My family, these are pictures of my beautiful family that mean the world to me. This is my oldest boy. These are some transition pictures, but my oldest boy here, Sebastian, and my youngest boy, Manolo. Sebastian is serving a church mission in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Spanish speaking. He'll be leaving Monday. So this is a big weekend for our family. So we're super excited for him. Like I said before, I'm grateful to be a part of Three Key Elements and their mission, their passion, what they're put on here on earth to do here with Kirk and Kim Duncan, president and vice president of Three Key Elements. They've been working with people for some time and have been very successful at it. Not a little successful, very successful. So I am grateful to be a part of this great team. And as I continue to impact and work with people specifically within their strengths, within what motivates them, with what makes them amazing. So again, thank you guys so much for being here. I just wanted to give a quick little intro about myself, quick little intro about Three Key Elements. But really, what I want to focus on today is number one, strengths, of course. But more importantly, I want to focus on today Jill. Now, before I bring Jill on and we introduce her and we talk about what's amazing about her, I like to start off, with different things, each interview. So maybe there's some teaching moments, maybe there's some moments where I can, help you understand the value of strengths, why strengths are so valuable. But what I want to do is start today with, and this really kind of stuck with me. As I was thinking about all these interviews. I've been doing interviews now for the last, I want to say 6 weeks. And I want to continue doing this. And I have some lined out almost all of the month of May and going into April. I have some more people I'll be contacting. But sorry, month of June. I apologize. We just got out of April. But I can't help but recognize how much this quote means to me more now as I'm doing interviews than even what it was before. And if you guys have heard my strengths story, I became a certified strengths coach because of what I realized about me and my wife. Okay, I've been through, so just to, this beautiful gal right here, the love of my life, she first introduced me into self-development at a very young age. We got married, and immediately it was like 6 months after we got married, she introduced me to Carol Tuttle, and we went to a small little event. When I say a small, I mean, I'm talking, it was at a Barnes and Noble here in, it was a Barnes and Noble little Starbucks. There was a Starbucks in there here in Sugar House at the time. And there was like 4 people there. and two of them were my wife and my wife's friend. So, so it was, she was first starting out. She had her book, Remembering Wholeness, and but that was our first introduction to self-development. So we've always been around this idea of self-development, and because of that, we've always wanted to have a better marriage, a better relationship with each other, right? There was always that desire to grow. However, like every marriage, like every let's just say relationship, we had our problems. And it's and not because she's bad, I'm bad, not from a blame perspective, but because how I thought, how I operated, right, was different than how she thought and operated. And sometimes it's hard to communicate really all of that, right? We know how we feel how we feel, but we don't always know how to communicate how we feel, or communicate our needs, or communicate, right, our motivations. And so Melissa and I, we went to we went to all kinds of different seminars. We went to a couples retreats. We did marriage counseling. We did a lot of stuff. And it was because we did care about each other, and we loved each other a lot. I mean, we really did. We cared about a relationship. And when I took the Clifton Strengths Assessment, it was the end of 2019. Clifton Strengths, what dramatically shifted my relationship with my wife, because it was the first time I ever got a sneak peek into the way she naturally thinks, feels, and behaves in terms of what drives her, in terms of what motivates her, in terms of her thought processes. We were in those counseling sections. We filled out these books. This is what I like. This is what you like. These are my needs, right? Type of thing. But really, until you really see it, often it's hard to, right? It's hard to really know. And so Clifton Strengths, it was about 10 months after I took my assignment. I kind of shelved it. I didn't really look at it, but I felt inspired one day to read my report, and then to read my wife's report. And I was blown away. I was like, oh, this is exactly who I am. And I started reading this about my wife, and I'm like, oh, this is what she means. This is what she's saying. This is why she operates this way. And it made it so clear. It made it crystal clear. There was not a doubt in my mind oh, this is why, or this is how. And so the reason why I love this quote is because like I said, as I'm interviewing different people, and as I'm, interviewing today, Jill, and really anyone, and I get a chance to recognize Strengths has finally helped me not just own the way I naturally think, feel, and behave, but own how I operate, own how I'm motivated. So as you begin to think seriously about the unique constellation of talents that you have, right, the ones that you have, you recognize that other people each have their own unique combination of talents as well. You begin to see them through a different lens. The things that used to annoy or irritate, or you didn't understand, or frustrate, right, whatever word you want to put there, are now seen as the very things that make the other person productive and successful. The very frustrations I had with my wife, the very misunderstandings, I'm just like, I don't get it, are the very things of how she operates, and the very things that motivate her, and the very things that she struggles with, right? The very things that really motivate us, we can often overdo because of certain talents and certain strengths. And so this really opened up my mind to people probably more than anything. If you ever have a chance to see my assessment, for those of you that are strengths enthusiasts like myself, I don't have these learner strengths, these high strategic thinking strengths, like my wife does. My wife graduated high school when she was 15. I mean, my wife was super smart. Her dad, his IQ was off the chart. He was actually a member of the, Mensa group. And I mean, he was a linguist. So Kim's from a very intellectual family. Me, I'm not that. I didn't graduate high school. I didn't go to college because those subjects didn't motivate me. I used to think I was dumb, right, and stupid. But the truth of it was they just didn't motivate me. When it comes time to strengths, what I love about strengths and why I study strengths is because I'm not studying strengths. I'm studying you. That's what I love, is I get a chance to study people. I want to know what makes you tick. I want to know what makes you move. I want to know what's holding you back. And I find it within the way you naturally think, feel, and behave. So this quote right here means more to me than ever before as I continue doing this, because I realized that you are incredible, and you are incredibly unique, and you're incredibly special, and you're amazing. And the more and more you own this, the more and more you decide that you are, you must, absolutely must recognize the person standing right next to you is equally amazing. The person standing right here is equally amazing. And the person behind you is equally amazing. They may not know it. They may not know what their talents or their strengths are. They may not know what motivates them. They may not know what their needs are within their natural way of thinking, feeling, behaving. But to say that for us to get frustrated and annoyed and irritated by people because their process is different than ours is our lack of understanding. Does that make sense? Raise your hand if this makes sense. I want to make sure that this is super clear. I want to say this again. When you're getting annoyed, frustrated, when you're getting irritated by other people's natural way of thinking, feeling, behaving, it's your lack of not understanding what motivates them. It's your lack of not understanding and celebrating and acknowledging and appreciating what makes them successful, what makes them productive. Now, does this mean everything they're doing, right? So my number one strength is positivity. Does this mean I've used positivity? As silly as this is, right? Positivity, you think, oh my gosh, positivity. No, it has hindered me just as much as it's helped me. If you've followed me long enough and you've heard me tell stories about the relationship with me and my wife, you know that me being positive all the time when my wife, that's not what my wife needs, is destructive. And I use that word, I mean, it's destructive. When my wife comes home and she's feeling something and trying to express emotion, and I'm trying to bulldoze her emotion because I need to feel positivity, right? Baby, we got this. It's okay. Dry your eyes. Don't cry. I'm literally interrupting her as she's talking to me, trying to get her to feel better because it's my need. Does that make sense? Does it make me a bad guy? Does it make me rude? Does it make me insensitive? Absolutely not. It's just the way I operate, and I need to learn how to manage how I operate. I need to learn how to press the gas when I need to press the gas. I need to learn how to press the brake when I need to slow down, right? My wife's emotional. There's a yellow light flashing. I don't press the gas on my positivity. I press the brake. I'm like, oh, okay. She needs me to listen to her right now. Does that make sense? Knowing and acknowledging the strengths of the people around you is what makes your strengths even stronger, is what makes you even better, because you start to appreciate who you are because you appreciate who they are. I absolutely love this. Okay. So with that being said, I'm super excited to get started today. I'm super excited to bring on Jill, super excited to interview her. But what I want to do is I did something kind of fun today, a little bit different. I do some Facebook lives that I do, but today I thought, you know what I'm going to see if I can't do, hold on one second here. Let me pull up this where I put her strengths up. So first off, I want to talk about, right? So we have the domains here. So the Gallup domains: executing, influencing, relationship building, and strategic thinking. So as we jump into this interview, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page as we start talking about different things. There's what are called domains, and there are called what are called themes, okay, within this Clifton Strengths report. It's a 25-page report. There's in the 4 domains, each domain has 8 to 9 themes, okay? And each theme that relates to executing or somehow influencing, relationship building, strategic thinking, what makes these domains so relevant is this is what drives teams towards perfection, performance, results, okay? So what within this, within ourselves, we all have some level of executing, influencing, relationship building, and strategic thinking domains, and then there's themes within those domains. And it shows up in a report that lists them in 1 through 34. Now, just because you have something on the bottom doesn't necessarily mean that it's, good or bad. It just means it doesn't motivate you. It just doesn't mean that that's not one of your talents. It means it's not something you should really consider in trying to improve your performance or results. That's 100% what the Gallup assessment strength does, is improves performance and results, okay? So as we're getting ready to bring Jill on, let's bring on her report so you guys can see. So everybody can see here. So number one, she has connectedness, adaptability, empathy, intellection, and developer. So you can kind of get a little picture of what her top 5 are. And when I go through people and I teach them about the report, number one is your top 5 are how you operate naturally. And in fact, your top 3, they're almost there. Well, everything really in your top 5 is so subconscious. We don't even know when we're doing it, but we just do it all the time, right? And so because of that, we can overdo it. We can underdo anything. We can always overdo everything. And that's where we kind of get into trouble. Okay. Where you naturally play, you can play all the way down into your 10 very naturally. I coach people and teach them how to play down into their 15, because you're down to your 15 is very relevant. You can still pull there. You can still play in there. You can still learn from there. The further and further you go down the list, what you want to look at that list is not necessarily in terms of weaknesses or in terms of, in terms of good or bad. These are just places that don't motivate. So if I were to be working with Jill and coaching Jill and having a relationship with Jill, I would know down here from 30 to 34, these are places that don't motivate her performance. Does that make sense? They don't motivate her results. So here is where people find themselves self-sabotage, a lot of comparison. They want success in life, whether it's as an entrepreneur, as in relationships, whatever it may be. And they're like, oh, I need to work on these things. No, that's the point, is that down here doesn't motivate your desire to improve. It doesn't motivate, your desire to move forward. This is what motivates your performance. And I want to be super clear. You don't need focus to be successful in life. You don't need focus to be a great in relationships. You don't need focus to be a great entrepreneur. You don't need focus to change the world. You don't need influencing strengths to even do that. The owner of 3 Key Elements, my coach and mentor, doesn't have a single influencing strength above 22. What does that say about him? He knows who he is, and that's how he influences people. Does that make sense? You don't need these specific things. You just learn how to use the way you naturally think, feel, and behave, because there's just needs and motivators in you that are just more to the surface. My positivity, my communication, my activator. Same thing with Jill. Her connectedness, adaptability, her empathy, intellection, it's just right there at the surface, which gives her a chance to really amplify, right? She maximizes. She's more efficient when she plays up here than she is down here. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So with that being said, I'm excited to bring Jill on. So let me have her jump over here and move her into a panelist so that we can have her. So Jill, you can open up your camera. Everybody wants to see your beautiful face. They all want to get to know you. Let me see here. Let me make you a co-host. That way we can all see you there. Let's see here. Let me pull out all of this stuff. Jill, you there?
I'm here.
Welcome. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great, Philip.
Good.
Well, I have to make my screen bigger now because everything just went small when that happened. Okay, here we go. I'm all set.
Excellent. Well, let me just take a few minutes to introduce you here. So for those of you that don't know, so Jill has been Jill is a holistic health educator, integrative yoga therapy teacher, Reiki practitioner. She's a life coach, oil educator, and she was diagnosed with Crohn's disease over about 30 years ago and has been working on that as well as other autoimmune issues. And she left her 15-year career in marketing with motion pictures to focus on her own healing and focus on being awesome, really. And today she empowers women who are stuck and struggling in order to release what's holding them back, to own their power and move forward. So super grateful to have you here on with me today. Jill, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thanks for inviting me. I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
Right? This is super fun. Okay, so let's get right into it. So now you have, when did you take your report, by your test?
I think it was about a year and a half ago. It was, yeah. It was after leadership when Eddie Villa gave a talk at leadership. And I took, a few months later, I took my strengths. I resisted it for a couple of years. I was not like, no, not another personality test. What do I need my strengths for? And everybody else was doing it. And my mentor, you know, suggested I do it. So I did. And I'm really glad that I did.
Excellent. Well, so for those of you who don't know, just a little bit of background. So Eddie Villa, he is a strengths coach who's also an advocate inside of doTERRA, and she's talking about doTERRA leadership, where he did a presentation, talked about strengths and the value of strengths. So excellent. So, and you, like me, like many people that I interview or that I work with, I feel like the first sale is even to get them to take the report, right? The first action step, let alone mentoring them or working with them, I'm like, you got to take this thing, because I was there too. I was when someone that I'm working with, my coach and mentor, at the time they were like, Philip, I want you to take this assessment, and I was like, no, I don't want to take this assessment. So it's good to know that that is a common theme, because again, we see it as just another personality assessment, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. So with that being said, so you took the assessment, and then what? So when you had a chance to actually look at it, what was your impression of the results that you got once you took it, once you decided, okay, I'm gonna look into this? Where did it kind of go from there?
Yeah, well, a couple of things. First of all, my jaw dropped when I saw it, because connectedness at number one. And for years, I've been saying connection is my number one value, and it's my deepest longing in life. And when I looked at that and it said connectedness, I was like, oh, wait a minute, really? Like, I already have that? That's who I am, and that's my number one? It was kind of life-changing, I want to say. But the other thing was looking at number 34, looking at focus. And I said, oh, that's why I'm not doing my work. That's why I'm not, getting the results that I want. That's why I can't get myself to sit down and do the work every day, because I kept saying, I don't have enough focus. I'm not going to be successful. I can't focus. How can I focus? I don't have just, it was like, oh my God. And so when I looked at this and saw focus at number 34, it was like, oh, now I get it. Now I get it. And at first I thought, okay, well, I'm not going to be successful at network marketing. I'm not going to be successful at being an entrepreneur because I can't focus. But, once I started learning about strengths, that whole mindset changed.
Well, and I just want to comment on that, because you brought up 2 points. Number one, you saw your number one, and then you saw your 34. And very quickly you saw the number one, and all of a sudden it validated, right? It validated this thing of connectedness, right? I've always known this, it's important to you, you value it. And then all of a sudden you see it on paper and you're like, oh, yes. And then at the same time, you see that thing on paper and you're like, oh, that's why, right? And knowing that the same thing. And I think that this is one of the reasons why I love strength so much, and why I love it when people take the assessment. I think when we often assume, I think when we take the assessment, that we're going to be put in this box of, that I don't want to take the assessment because it's going to say that I'm only this, or it's going to say that I'm only this, or that I'm a color, I'm a number, I'm a this category, I'm a that category, I'm in that category. And one of the great benefits that I found, especially not just for myself, but other people taking the assessment, is that it really highlights. What it does is it validates and it highlights. This is what's great about you in terms from a talent perspective. This is what you're not, right? And so for me, it provides clarity. It doesn't say, by the way, you can't have success. It doesn't mean, by the way, don't do network marketing. It doesn't say, by the way, don't get married, right? It doesn't say, by the way, don't do these things. What it says is that this is what motivates you. This is what drives you based on the way you naturally think, feel, and behave. And these are the things that don't. And they're not within a specific category, right? It's not that you're only a strategic thinker, or you're only a relationship builder, or you're only an executor, but that you have these different combination of talents that are spread out to make you who you are. And so I love that, because that's more often why people should take the assessment, is to get clear, very crystal clear, this, and get validation. Oh, this is really what I always knew that motivates me. Thank you for the word. Thank you for the combination now. Oh, this is, now I know why I don't, because this just doesn't motivate me. This doesn't drive me. This isn't the way I naturally think, feel, and behave. So I love that you saw that on both sides of that. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and I think another thing that I saw was I was really shocked that learner was so low. It's in my bottom 5 because I love to learn. I love to learn. It's like, one of my favorite things in life. But what I discovered is like, oh, okay, that's why I have like 6 books stacked over there, and I'm a third of the way through this one and halfway through that one, and then this shiny book came along, and I started that, and I never went back to this one, because I learned through things like this. I learned through conversation. I learned through connectedness.
I love that. I want to bring this up here because this is a great, wonderful moment for people to help realize. So when she talks about, right, learner, so let me bring up her full report so we can see this here. So when she says that, her number, that her learner, right, 29 is a learner, but yet she loves to learn. And then she says, I have 6 books and I'm a third of the way through each book. What you're looking at here is the input, okay? People with high input, they love to gather resources, information. They're sometimes collectors of people. They collect trinkets, and they have here, there, and so they're always pulling. So although it's not necessarily the learner that drives the reading, it's the gathering of information from here, from here, from here, from here, from here. And so again, this is such a wonderful example. I love that you're saying this, because if we think that we're motivated by learning, then we put ourselves in environments where we're forcing more of the learning than we are encouraging more of the input. And in this case, it's the input. It's gathering of information and resources and of things that resonate with you, that click with you. Like, I know learners that are in it for the sake of learning. Like, that's what learners do. It doesn't matter what it is. They just want to learn, right? Where you're more specific because of what you want, because it has to make connections, right? It's got to match that connectedness, all those great things. So I love that you brought that up. That's beautiful. That's super awesome. Super.
Yeah, and I like learning about myself. I'm my, biggest fascination in life, right? What motivates me? How do I work? But I love learning about other people. Mm-hmm. And, because that connects me to them. And that helps me to be, to draw on my developer, my number 5.
Yep, 100%.
In how to help other people develop. And you're so right, Philip, about the input, because I had to really dial this back years ago before I even knew about strengths, but now I know why it happened. I gather information and I send people articles or podcasts, or I think you should listen to this, or you might be interested in that, or it just, and I, without thinking about who the other person is and what their strengths are, because I don't know sometimes, or I didn't know in the past. I just kind of, between my input and my intellection, it's like just poof, drown people with information.
Yeah. Well, and I think that again, what you're bringing up is such a wonderful example of you're operating from what motivates you. Like, you're not intentionally overwhelming someone. Like, you're not saying, I'm going to send you articles because I think overwhelming you is fun, right? I'm going to send you an article so that by the way, I've already sent you 5 today, but I'm going to send you 1 more. So eventually you get annoyed from me. Like, that's not your intention. It's what motivates you. It's what drives you. It's what excites you. And this is what's so cool about this, is the more and more. So if you and I are in a relationship, you and I are working together, whatever it may be, you send me 5 articles and I'm like, I know exactly why she's sending me this, right? So I'm not irritated. We're not frustrated, but that's the thing. That's the beauty of it. The more, if we could all walk around with our top 5, maybe in our top 10 on our chest, and then owner's man, and then, like manuals as to like, oh wait, this person has these combinations. Oh, this is why I got you now. I got you.
Right? I love that.
Because then we're not offended. I'm not offended. I'm not hurt. I have come across so many executors, right? That are like, so go, go, go. And I'm like, because I'm a relationship builder like you. And I'm like, wait, what happened, guys? I thought we were connecting here for a second. Where are we, and they're already jumping to the activity. And so it's just nice. It really answers, it answers for me, I guess, provide more patience, right? It helps me understand more and provide more clarity in places where I wasn't. So I'm so glad that you see that as you do it. And because that's how we can help other people recognize, right? You can say, by the way, I'm sending this article. I'm going to send you another one later because this is my input, just so you know, right? Okay, so what about, so you have your results, you took your assessment, you have your results, you noticed some things. What was probably the greatest thing that actually stood out to you? Like if you could pick just maybe as a combination, maybe it was one strength. I mean, you did mention your connectedness or your focus, and you mentioned your input, your learner. Was there any other thing that really kind of like was like, whoa?
Developer.
Okay.
And also my 9 and 10, my activator and my restorative. Because I don't feel like I'm an activator. Like I get ideas, I get a million ideas, which is, then I learned that that's where my activation comes from, but I don't act on them. I don't activate them, right? And so I don't really understand that. What was the question? I just got lost in my own thought.
Right, this is good. There's your input going crazy. I love it. So what do you think, like, so what do you notice the most? Like, what is it that you like, what stood out to you the most on your report? Was it really more that connection to the focus? Was it more of that, what really kind of, because it sounds like obviously still kind of questioning, you're like, what about that?
Yeah.
What would be one?
Well, adaptability also. The combination of connectedness, adaptability, and developer. Because my adaptability is, I go from this to this to this to this, and I don't like structure. To be successful, we are taught that we need to have a schedule, and we need to stick to that schedule. And nothing makes me want to run out the door or clean my bathroom quicker than putting me on a schedule. I need to do things when they feel right to me.
Yes.
And, there has to be some structure involved in it, right? Because I have to know what it is that I'm going to do.
Yeah.
But if I don't feel like doing it Tuesday from 10 to 12 when I set time aside, I could do it Thursday.
Yeah.
I need to be able to have that freedom. So the adaptability really helped me make sense of some things.
I love that. One of the things here, we'll do a fun little teaching moment because you brought it up, and I think it's important that we take time during these so that people can see. So you mentioned your activator, okay? And so hold on one second here. Let me bring up okay, here we go. So let's look at what Jill was saying here in terms of her activator restorative, right? So her activator is at number 9. So for those of you that so it's an influencing strength, right? The color orange, yellow, whatever color that might be to you, is activator. Now, what activator is they're fire starters. They're not necessarily achievers in terms of they're not focused on the end result. They're focused on getting it going. So her question is, right, how does her activator apply, and how can she get things going? Now, I'm going to show you mine real quick so you understand, so that you can understand one of the things about talents and strengths. Just because you know the definition of the talent or what it means does not mean that's the only definition based on that all of a sudden this person is going to do something, right? That's what they need to do. So for example, if you look at my report, I have also activator, but I have activator at number 3. Now, what I want to point out, my wife has activator at number 3 as well. Okay. Up until this is why I got certified in strengths coach, or as a coach, because this is what blew my mind. If I have activator and she has activator, as someone that doesn't understand the report, I don't know, and I don't understand combinations. That's what I want to use, is combinations of of strengths. I don't see the needs, and I don't see the motivators. So for when I saw activator, I made the assumption, okay, that, whoa, I'm a fire starter, Melissa's a fire starter, so we should both be starting fires 24/7, right, babe? Like all the time. Yet for some reason, my wife wasn't starting fires. Why isn't she not starting fires? And I didn't know why she wasn't starting fires. And this is why I started reading reports and got fascinated by this. So if you look at what I have before my quote unquote fire starter strength, which is my activator, is positivity and woo. What that means is I just got to feel good about it. And I got to know that it's either new, fresh, some new people are involved, and forget about it. Watch out. Here comes Philip Ramos. That's it. When people house me with too many details or plans, someone gives me an idea, I already want to execute the idea. I already want to start the idea. But Philip, you don't have everything in mind. It doesn't matter. I don't need it. Like that's literally how my activator kicks in. Now, my wife, she has strategic and futuristic, okay, before her activator. For my wife to take action, there needs to be a plan. There needs to be a map. She needs got to know. It's like your Google map, right? You know where the destination is. You know what's popping up. Her future. She got to know where she's going. Then she's ready to take action. Okay. So that is important to know. And we're just talking about activator. There's different combinations within everything. So if I were to go back to Jill's and we were to look at Jill and say, okay, what does Jill need for Jill's activator to kick in? So Jill, number one, has to see, right, how does it apply to her connectedness? What connections does she see? Because she said that, right? Connection is super important. Being adaptable, being adaptability are those type of people that, the car breaks down on the highway and they're not going to lose their mind over it because it totally threw off the right. She talked about the strategy, right? The plan, the schedule. Jill's like, no, well, let's do this. No, well, let's do this. Well, we can just do this, right? Because she's so adaptable in the moment. She's adaptable to relationships, empathy, intellection, developer, input, relator, communication. All of these needs, when these needs are met, when these needs are in place, when these motivators are clear, taking action is easy to Jill, like clockwork. But all of these things are important to her. And this is where people dismiss their unique combination of strengths. This is why this is not a box. If we're a box, then I'm an activator, Melissa's an activator, and so is Jill. And all three of us should be the same as an influencer, but we're not, because we're not just activators. We have combinations of different talents and themes that motivate us for us to kick into our activator. Same thing as she talks about scheduling, right? Or she talks about having this schedule, or I'm going to do this exactly this way. For people that have that, they're more into this deliberative mindset, these sort of things. People with high adaptability, they want to be in the flow. Adaptability is exactly in that. If you look at the definition of adaptability, it's all about flow. So having that contradicts her flow. It contradicts. So the more flow she has, the more she gets to connect with people and develop them, the more she gets to relate with them, and the more she gets to communicate. So Jill is same thing like me. I have communication at number 4. So communication for me is incredibly important. The more I communicate, the more whether it's communicating through words, whether I write, all of these places, her activator can kick in more aggressively. The more I think positive, the more I'm engaged, the more these things, my activator kicks in more aggressively. So I love that you brought this up, Jill, and hopefully it was okay to take this kind of moment here. But I think it's important that people realize this report, the beauty of the report is it really gets you started, but the amount of complex thinking and ideas and concepts that are in here to really find where, for example, in taking action, it's here. Like the fact that you have it in your top 10 shows that you are incredible you're an incredible fire starter. Anything in your top 10, you really are good at. The thing is, you want to look at, okay, what are the needs that I got to put into place? What are the things that are important to me? And once those things are in place, you are starting fires like there's nobody's business. Does that make sense?
It makes so much sense. And there's so much firing in my brain right now about my strengths and how, if I want to use my developer, I have to, so say that I'm working with a partner, with somebody that I'm mentoring. I have to use my connectedness. I have to see the bigger picture of, life, of them, of the business, of what we're doing together. I need to be adaptable in who they are and what their strengths are. I need to have, I need to put myself in their shoes and what is this like for them, not for me, but for them. And then think about it, really take the intellection and think about it. And then my developer can rise.
100%.
Is that true? Did I get that right?
But that was so beautifully said. Like all the animation, the smile on your face, and that's the point, is that when you come to these, it's almost like walking up. So you let's say you're going upstairs, right? And you see the landing, you see where you need to get to. There's certain steps you got to take in order to get to the landing. Knowing what step to take first is the motivator to get to the landing. If you're saying, oh, I need a schedule to get to the landing, then it's counterintuitive. I just need to take the first step. You're like, again, it's counterintuitive. But when you think of it, no, how can the bigger picture of me getting to the landing and what it could do and how we can connect and me being adaptable. What if I take one step forward and then one step back because I got a friend here that also wants to join me and I can join with them and I can do these things. Then yes, like you said, and then I process it, your developer can kick in. Then your communication can kick in. Then your activator can kick in. And the more and more you follow these processes, the more and more you can choose to be, and the better and better you get at it. It's literally, at first, it's almost like, oh, this takes me 30 minutes to get in this mindset, right? Or it takes me like a day to get in this mindset. But before you know it, the moment you wake out of bed, you're checklisting. You're like, boom, 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 let's go. Boom, 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 let's go. Because you're so clear on what your needs and your motivations are that you're getting to your activator faster and faster and faster because you're going through the checklists to get to the point where you're starting fires. Does that make sense?
I love that. It makes so much sense because, I get out of bed in the morning and I don't really, I want a framework of how to put my strengths on every day, how to try my strengths on every day and which ones to choose from. And we had a conversation a while ago that was so helpful because you taught me, when you're in this situation, use these strengths, leave these ones at home. Don't put those on, leave those to the side. But when you're in this situation, you can bring those forward and leave these to the side. So if I can get up each day and think, okay, what am I doing today? What feels right to do today? Or what do I have scheduled?
Yeah.
And what strengths do I need or do I want to bring to that? And then I can look, I'm just going to use today as an example. I guess I needed to bring communication here. And so I didn't think about this at all this morning, but I did go to my connectedness. I did because I knew that's what would bring me present and in conversation with you and be able to communicate.
Yes.
But now I understand, how to, that was just really great.
Good.
And helping me to understand that.
And the same thing applies. So when you look at your full 34, so same thing with focus. Like if you look at your full 34, and I hope everybody's hearing, you can get down. There's no reason why you can't get down to where you want to get down to. Like if you want to be more focused, you just got to know that all these other things are motivators to get to these different points. It doesn't mean you go through every single one. It doesn't mean you go, now I got to go to competition. Now I go to includer, then I go to focus. But the idea is the more and more we stay within what motivates us, it's easier for us to just click into the next thing. But when we want to jump and force this idea of, for example, you're disciplined at number 11. If you try to stranglehold discipline in your life and be like, I need to be more disciplined, I need more discipline, and you put so much focus and energy into this idea of discipline, you're literally shutting off 10 motivators and needs and desires that wake you up in the morning. That's what you crave. You crave those things and you get to discipline by feeding those cravings. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. And I did exactly what you just said, was trying to force the discipline, letting go of what my true motivators are and my talents and just trying to force the discipline. And all I did was spin my wheels for 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, the more and more, and this is one of the things that I have learned about so much about the and again, the report itself, this is the beauty of it, you guys. Like I'm going to show my report one more time. There's nothing in my report that at all says like I have strategic, I have futuristic, but I only have it when it comes time to, like, how can I strategically do different things to move people? That's it. That's 100% where it comes from. But look at where my achiever is at 18. Does it mean I don't get things done? I do at least right now. I'm doing 5 webinars a week just on strengths promoting different things. I do, aside from that, I'm also an advocate for doTERRA, and I do 3 webinars a week for my team for different things that I'm promoting. I do coaching. But all of this, look at my intellection. Like if I had to be, where, because I didn't graduate high school, I didn't graduate college, I was stuck so often that I'm like, how do I get smarter, right? Look at where my learner is at 19. Look at my analytical, my ideation, my context, my input, my intellection, like all these things. I'm not smart. I can't do this. Knowing my strengths dramatically changed my life, because now I look at everything, in everything I want to be: a father, a husband, a friend, a network marketer, a coach, an entrepreneur. And you know what I do? I'm hardcore anchored. And I talked about this in my last interview. You guys had a chance to watch it. I talked about anchoring, and I am firmly anchored into my positivity. I'm firmly anchored into my activator, firmly anchored to my communication. And I know what it looks like for me to get to my futuristic. If I go straight into my strategy, man, I drown. I drown just like everyone else. If I go straight into my ranger, where I'm just juggling 50 things just for the sake of juggling 50 things, I drown. But if I feel good about it, if I'm connecting to people, I'm starting fires, right? I'm communicating, I'm doing things. I'm arranging, I'm strategic, I'm futuristic, I'm including, I'm getting into my belief. I mean, you guys can hear this in my voice. This is one thing I was jealous of. If I had any strength in me, it was my belief. But I have passion for all of this now. My belief is incredibly high because I get there by being all of these other things. So for those of you, so thank you so much, Jill, for being so vulnerable, because I think so often, right, there's so many hidden gems and truths inside of our strengths that we really need to give ourselves time and permission. We are, whatever age we are, right? We've spent decades here on this earth not being authentic, not feeding our ways, not understanding our needs and our motivators. And to just get a report and to think we're going to roll out of bed one day and all of a sudden show up in these ways, it's just not going to happen, right? We got stories, we got things. And so retraining our brains and retraining our emotions and retraining ourselves is incredibly crucial and critical. So thank you. Thank you for bringing that up, because I think it was a great opportunity. I don't always get to do this, but I appreciate it, because it's important for people to see you're more complex than you really think you are, but which makes you more beautiful and unique and special. And you need to take more time into diving into your complexities to really see yourself. You're the 8th wonder, by the way. You are, right? There's 7 wonders of the world. You're number 8. You Henza, you are, because you're so unique. You're so special. You're so amazing. And it's time that it's time you own it. So Jill, thank you. Gosh, I went off on a tangent there, but it's obviously you can hear my passion and my motivation behind it all.
I hear your belief.
Yes, right. Yeah, big time belief. Okay, so with that all being said, right? We definitely talked about maybe something you're maybe struggling with or unaware with, but how do you use your strengths on a daily basis? Like as a life coach, you're as a holistic coach, oil educator, all the things that you do, yoga practitioner. Where do you see where do you really see your strengths coming into play on a daily basis in everything you do?
Well, I think I'll do it differently after this interview, because I have a different understanding of it.
Oh, wonderful.
But like I said before, I don't get up in the morning and think, okay, what are my strengths? What am I going to, put on today? It's an unconscious thing, which you sort of mentioned in the beginning. But I do, depending on what I'm doing, depending on what task I'm doing or who I'm with or what I want for the day, I will pick up certain strengths. I will leave other strengths behind. You taught me, like if I'm doing a one-on-one with somebody, if I'm working one-on-one And whether it's a class or a wellness consult or a coaching client, leave my empathy out, leave my adaptability out, because with those two strengths, I can, a 45-minute appointment could turn into 2 hours.
Yes.
And leave my input out, because then it could turn in even longer. But if I bring my activator, like, okay, what do I want for my developer? What do I want for them? Where can I see that they can go?
Yes.
If I start with my connectiveness and what's the bigger picture here, bring my developer in, and then I can pull my activator out.
Yes.
But now I understand how to get down to my activator in a much more efficient and better way, because my activator is like, okay, I can see where you need to go and the steps to get there. And then, well, I guess my empathy, which I've left to the side, but my empathy can see, okay, what can they handle right now?
Yes.
How many of those steps can they handle?
Yeah.
What can I actually give them to do?
Yeah.
And not overwhelm them with, my activator and input together could overwhelm. So it's knowing how to calibrate what strengths I'm going to use.
Love that. And that's one of the things. And when we get good at strengths, like kind of what you said, like that empathy, part of knowing what hinders us, right, is why we keep things on the side. For example, like my positivity, right? My wife comes home and she's trying to express something, and I know that I'm in this positive mode. I'm like, man, positivity, you need to I need to put you on the shelf, because you're going to hurt this relationship, right? Same thing if you feel like, you have a client or an advocate or someone you're working with, a team member, and you feel like, oh, I can't bring my empathy to this conversation because it's not safe for me right now, right? Or my adaptability. But when you get good at it, when you get really good at it, you're like, your empathy can absolutely coexist there, and it serves you. At that point, you're just like, you know what? All I am is I'm aware of your feelings. I'm just not going to take them on, right? Same thing with your adaptability. Your adaptability is there because within the conversation, you're saying you truly know how to use it, so that if it gets spiraled into left field, you know how to bring it back to center. Or it goes right, you know how to bring it back to center. It goes left again, you bring it back to center. So the beauty of utilizing and knowing your strengths where they're actually strengths, when they're not, is when we just need to be like, all right, let me move these out before they get me into too much trouble. And that's a beautiful awareness that you have that often, Jill, that people don't choose into. Like I was working with someone, and they had talked about their achiever, and how their achiever, someone they were working with, it was a spouse. Okay. It was a spouse, and they were convincing their spouse, listen, this is what I do. I'm an achiever. You can't deny it. This is who I am. And I was trying to help educate this person in saying, there is a downside to every strength. You can't bully everyone in your life saying, I can't bully everyone because I'm positivity, right? That's what I did, but it hindered relationships, not empowered relationships. So same thing with your empathy, your connectedness, your adaptability. No matter what the strength is, the purpose of strengths is to drive performance, to drive your results. If you're not having the results that you want, either number one, you're not using your strengths, or number two, your strength is not serving you. So it's overdoing it, right? You're overdoing the strength, and it's hurting the relationship instead of not. So I love that you have that awareness, and having more and more of that throughout what you do is gonna dramatically impact. But that's cool that you were able to, obviously what we talked about, you were able to take some of that and see, okay, how am I going to handle this, or how am I going to do this to move that forward?
Yeah, that was really helpful. I learned a lot from you, in our conversation a while ago.
Awesome. Well, we talked a little bit about, some of your struggles, or just some of your understanding in terms of activator. Would you say, besides maybe knowing the activator, would you say, is there any place that you're like, man, this strength right here, I struggle with this one, or I struggle in this area, or, do you have one specific spot where you're like, you know what, I still need to work on this one, kind of thing?
Well, strangely enough, adaptability and empathy, I would say, because with adaptability, oh, well, I'm adaptable. Okay, well, I don't feel like doing videos today. Or I don't feel like doing this interview with Philip. No, it doesn't feel right to me to do this thing today. So I'm going to go, grocery shopping. I'm going to do other things, which is fine because all of these things need to get done.
Yes.
But I don't do things until they feel right. And that can sometimes hinder me.
Yeah.
I do less of that now than I used to, now that I understand more. And with empathy, even though I've learned over the years how to protect my energy and how not to take other people's stuff on. And if I do, how to get rid of it, and oils have been a big part of that. But I still find myself sometimes, I'll have a meeting with somebody, or I was in a 3-day training last week, an immersion, a workshop. And for 2 days afterwards, I walked around with other people's voices in my head. Like it was my thoughts, but it was their voice. Yes. And it was their energy coming, like they might have had very different energy than I do.
Yes.
Like, let's let that go. And it took a few days to come back to my center.
Yes.
So that, I guess if I was going to say I had a struggle with some of these, that would be what it is.
Excellent. Well, and I love that you're talking about this because most people, what most people in my experience, right, is that we look at, especially when they first get their strengths, they look at their top 5, it resonates with them. They read it, they're like, oh my gosh, this is totally me. But we don't always become very aware how this has actually, hindered us. So for example, I talk about my woo all the time. My woo changed my life. Like it was because it was the biggest thing I had to look at, which created a lot of my pain, which created a lot of my hurt. And I had a lot of resentment towards woo. I never ever thought it was a strength. In fact, it was the greatest weakness that I was ever blessed with, right? As a talent or as a gift. And the more and more I learned to address it and I learned to manage it, it has become my superpower. And so same thing for you and really anyone. When we learn to play, when we learn to understand that the way we naturally think, feel, and behave is such a drive for us that it's unexplainable. We just can't explain why I'm so driven for this or why I do this in so much. And when we see it on paper, for example, like adaptability or empathy, and we see those, they're just major drives. So with that, one of these things that, or one of the things that you always want to do is really look at these things and say, okay, knowing that they always drive me, like it's a bottomless barrel, right? It's an unquenchable thirst is what you have for them. How can I manage these to make sure that they serve me and not hinder me? So if you go back to the workshop, for example, the moment you walk into that workshop, you got to know that if you don't purposely manage it, your empathy and your adaptability are going to run away, right? They're just going to move, they're going to run. So going into that room, envisioning you in this bubble, right? In this bubble where you see other people's emotions, I see you hurting, I see what you're feeling, I see what you're expressing, I see all these different things, but I don't feel them, right? You don't feel them, you just see them. His energy, her energy, this energy. You see people like probably fireworks, right? I even know people that see like colors and they're really high empathy. I mean, they're just like pop rocks of like emotions and energy all over the place. But just because you see it and you notice it, you can adapt to how you coach, how you develop. You can adapt to how you connect. You can adapt to how you work the relationship. But you don't have to adapt your emotions. Does that make sense?
It does.
And that's the beauty of of that combination, if you will. So, if you have 5 different people, the beauty of knowing that all 5 of these different people are thinking, feeling, and in different ways because of their own emotions, just regardless from a strengths perspective, all of them are feeling something different. So all of them are expressing something different and all of them going through something different. Because your adaptability is so high, you have the ability to connect with this person. connectedness, each one of them in a completely different way to serve the purpose without you taking on the emotions of either one of them. That's where, and then your developer kicks in, man, that's where your superpower combination right there just really can move people. So again, knowing those things, it's really just setting up boundaries for them. It's setting up, they're almost like a playbook for them. Like my woo, I got a playbook for my woo. I do, because I know how it's gotten me in trouble. So when I leave the house, it's playbook woo time. And I've gotten better and better and better at my playbook, that when I walk away from the engagement, like I walk out of a room of people, I walk out of different things, I no longer feel bad. I no longer feel like, oh, I self-betrayed 30 different times to try to win someone over. So same thing, if you have a playbook of how your empathy and your adaptability serve you, the moment you walk into the seminar, the room, the appointment, you know, as a life coach, whatever you're doing, as a yoga practitioner, you have a playbook for how these strengths are going to play out, and they're going to serve you. They're not going to, you're there because you know what that looks like. Does that make sense?
It does. I'm going to have to work on my playbook. Absolutely. And it's pretty much what I've done with empathy over the years, but I forget about it. You know, I forget that like what you're talking is more complex than what I've been doing.
Yeah.
So like I protect myself. And sometimes that's not always, you know, the best thing, because then I'm not connected to somebody.
Yes.
If I feel I have to be protected, then I'm putting up a barrier there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But if I know I'm safe, and I know, you know, my strengths will keep me safe, my adaptability and my connectedness, the ones that are above empathy will keep me safe.
Yes.
Then I can trust that I can be with you without taking on your stuff.
Yes. Well, and that goes into, I love that, that goes into the process of really mastering your strengths, right? You know, because that's ultimately the goal, is we don't want our strengths to rule us. We want our strengths to serve us. You want your empathy to serve you, your adaptability to serve you. You want it to benefit you. So knowing, number one, we have to know how we have self-betrayed, how it has hurt us in the past. We have to be clear on that in order for us to write a new playbook at how it's going to serve us, right? What is it going to look like when I step into this room, when I step into this appointment? How is empathy and adaptability going to serve me? Until people know that, I absolutely are like, okay, let's remove this one. Let's go in, let's practice these. But once you create a playbook, like for me, my woo, I shut off my woo hardcore, because I was like, I don't even know what it looks like to play in that bad boy and feel safe. I honestly didn't. I had no clue what it looked like to play in woo and safety. Now, the moment I leave the house, okay, woo, I'm turning it on, or I do these events, or I do these meetings, I turn it on, but on my terms. I win others over on my terms, not on theirs anymore. And that's what your empathy and your adaptability and your connectedness will serve you. It's your terms. And the more and more you get good at that, Jill, you're going to be a rock star. When that developer will kick in, then your communication, then your activator, and forget about it. You're going to do everything you've ever wanted to do because you clearly have a playbook on how to follow.
Yeah, I feel that my developer is my least developed of my strengths. So I look forward to that.
That'll come. So seriously, like that, the moment you're so clear on the connectedness, the adaptability, empathy, your developer is going to shoot in, because it's going to know. So developers by nature, they're phenomenal coaches. They're great mentors. They're great teachers. They see the potential in everyone, and they know, and their desire is to encourage the potential in everyone. When developers don't play, and this is my experience, when developers don't play to their developing strength, it's they don't feel confident in developing people. So if you lack confidence in the developing of people, you're lacking confidence, you're lacking clarity of how to develop them. And your clarity comes from your connectedness, your empathy, and your adaptability. And then you process it right through your intellection. So if you can create this playbook to when you go into a room or you go into an appointment, you're going to connect by default. It's what you do. You just got to know, I'm going to connect with you, but my empathy is going to, I'm going to stay here with my empathy. Yeah, I'm going to see what you're experiencing. I'm going to hear what you're experiencing, but I'm not going to feel what you're experiencing. And the moment you do that, you are adaptable to help them and assist them without being adaptable based on what you take on. And that right there, in that moment of adaptability, your developer can kick in and be effective. You can be a phenomenal coach. You could be a phenomenal potential seer or director because it kicks in a moment in which now it's ready to serve you. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense. And I can see how when I don't do those things, my developer becomes my bully.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
You know, I want you to do it this way. This is how you do it. Like, I'm not going to meet you where you are. Just this is how you do it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and I can see how I've done that. Oh, this is so funny. I can see how I've done that with my team. And I had a talk with one of my team members last week. You know, and I think she kind of gently was telling me that in a way. Like, no, it doesn't serve me when you do things this way, but what really serves me is when we just get together and connect. Well, but this meeting is about strategy. It's not about connection. So totally. Oh my God, this is like, things are just like popping here and lining up for me. This is awesome. I didn't know this was going to be a coaching session.
It's a coaching interview / all of it, right?
It's awesome. Yeah.
No, I'm glad you're open to it. I'm glad you're open. And this is the purpose of strengths, that we become, realizing things. But awesome. No, that makes me super happy. That makes me.
I think you should change the name from Aim Your Strengths to Master Your Strengths.
There we
Although
go.
aim is pretty great too. But it's just becoming mastery, you know? I've done so many, I've done an emotional mastery course. I've done an ego mastery course. I've done, all these things that help other people, and mastering your strengths just, it takes my strengths report and it takes strengths for me. And it just makes it, more doable. It makes it more understandable. It makes it more enticing, more exciting. Yeah.
My gosh, Jill, thank you so much. One of my goals, just so you always know, is I want to make it more applicable, right? It doesn't matter who cares if we have this 25-page report, and if we took it, and if we've been to 30 different seminars, and if we've been coached, or none of that matters if we wake up in the morning and we actually don't know how to apply what we've learned, right? And it really doesn't matter whether if it's from an oil perspective or an emotional perspective, or our exercise, our health. The journey of this is when we gather information to actually apply what we're learning in order to create the life that we want, right? To master our journey. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that, because that's ultimately my goal. And obviously, if that's what we're experiencing through the process of doing the interview, then that's what's happening. And so thank you. I appreciate that. That's good feedback for me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay, so as we're wrapping up here, what would you say is the greatest understanding or aha? What has come to you? And I think you just said it in a beautiful way in terms of, right, some of the things. But what do you think is you've gained the greatest value from your own strengths journey, learning your strengths? You being on this journey for yourself. What have you gained?
Oh gosh. Just self-knowledge, just more self-knowledge, self-awareness, self-knowledge, more comfortable ways of being in the world with others. I'm a relator, so I like small groups, but I'm also, I'm sort of like introverted, extroverted, because I love to speak in front of large groups. And I love, but I think I'm more comfortable around just a few people. And I like to, you can tell from the conversation that we've had, I like to go deep. I don't do, the weather. I don't do, whatever. And so knowing that, and also knowing that, I was trying to force myself into a system and a way of doing things that we were given as, it's a wonderful system. It works for a lot of people. The person that developed it probably has completely opposite strengths than I have.
Yes.
And a few years ago, my mentor took it on. And so I took it on, and I hated it. And I kept telling my mentor, I can't do things this way. This doesn't work for me. And I did not understand why until I got my strengths. And when I got my strengths, I thought, oh, I can't follow a system. A system doesn't work for me. The system that works for me to follow is a bigger system. It's a universal system, and it's the part of it that works, where do I plug into that? Where do I fit into that? And how do I bring myself in the moment to what I'm trying to do? Not read this script, get this many numbers, call this, I can't do that. Like, I won't do it. I will, my resistance I won't do it. So
Will not take action here.
I think the greatest thing that I've learned is how to be myself.
Yeah.
And how to be successful in being myself.
I love that. That again is so Gallup's ultimate goal, right? Or their message to the world is that anyone can be successful in any role. In fact, you can have near perfect perfection in any role, no matter what the role is, by looking at what motivates you in the way you naturally think, feel, and behave to drive your performance and results. And I think that is so, I love that. That is a message. And again, that's why I do strengths, because it is a message that resonates with me so much as someone, again, that didn't graduate high school, didn't go to college. I worked hard. I worked 2-3 jobs thinking one day I'll make it, or one day I'll find what I want to do. But ultimately, I was lost in listening to everyone else in what what you ought to do, what you should do, what worked for me, Philip, what worked for my brother, what worked for this person. And it was strengths. It was the first time that all of a sudden I realized, whoa, like, you mean I can be successful by being Philip Ramos? I didn't even know what that was even a concept. I didn't even know that was real, right? I mean, I think people throw out the word authenticity all the time, but I don't really know if people really know what authenticity really means, right? Because sometimes we say authenticity, and then all of a sudden you have a group of, a million people that are quote unquote being the same authentically, right? But that's not really the case. Authenticity means that we're learning through strengths process that Jill and I, although we have maybe some common goals, maybe some common roles, maybe some common passions, maybe some common relationships, the way we naturally think, feel, and behave in terms of our processes towards all of those different things are incredibly unique and different, which makes us phenomenal, which makes us complementary, which makes us great friends, or which makes us great business partners, or which can make us in whatever relationship that looks like. And the more and more we own that, that's where the beauty is, right? In true authenticity. Not changing the role doesn't mean I can't be good at this role, doesn't mean it means that this relationship is doomed for failure. But what it means is that now that I know who I am, wow, I want to learn how to be great at what I want to do just in who I am. So I love that. Absolutely.
And become a better human.
Yes, right?
And in the process of it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So if there was one thing that you would suggest, and maybe it's a few things, but what would you suggest? Because I have people that watch these recordings, people that are, that invite other people to these. What would be the suggestion that you would make? What would be the recommendation that if someone's starting out on their strengths journey, right? You've been through yours, you said 1.5 years now. What would be the biggest recommendation you'd make in order to make the biggest impact for their own strengths journey, for their own, discovery of who they are and where they're headed?
Just dive in. Just dive into it. Stop resisting it. Dive into it. Don't overwhelm yourself with it. Don't make meaning out of it.
Yeah.
I think that's why I resisted it, because I made so much meaning out of it. And just stay out of judgment. Stay out of judgment and look at how you can learn about yourself, how you can love yourself better, how you can learn about other people in your life and love them better, whether you know their strengths or not. Yeah. And just, just dive into it. Just do it. Just do it. And have fun with it. Have fun with it.
I think that's
this. Yeah, this was great fun for me.
Good. Well, we'll have to doing more of these more often then.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Jill. I really appreciate you being on. Thank you so much for taking time out of your morning and setting yourself up. And hopefully some information that, that we went through today you might be able to apply, or any of our, viewers that are watching, or anybody that's going to watch this recording. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I greatly appreciate your time and bringing your strengths and bringing, again, I want to validate your awesomeness and your difference from all the other interviews that I have and all the interviews that are going to come, because that's what makes you special and that's what makes you unique. So we all need to own who we are. So thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Good. All right. We'll see you.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Oh man. Okay. That was super fun. Super fun.
That was fun. I loved that.
Okay, so let's go ahead and finish off here today as I move her back into our attendees. I just want to thank everybody for being here today. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. As you can hear my passion, right? As you can see my joy for strengths. It's not a little bit, I'm through the roof, through the moon when it comes time to strengths, when it comes time to motivators, when it comes time to needs, when it comes time to processes. And I want to be super clear with you. You are special. You are amazing. You are unique. And there's no reason why you can't have what you want in life. There's no reason why you can't be who you want to be in life, do what you want to do. I would thoroughly invite you to look at the way you naturally think, feel, and behave, to find what motivates you, so that you put yourself on a path towards the direction that you want to go, to accomplish what you want to accomplish, to do what you want to do. So I love that actually Jill brought this up, right? Because I have this slide that I share sometimes I don't. But I want to take you through a process that I take everybody that I work through. I've done group programs. I work one-on-one with people. This is one of the things that I focus on, and I love that Jill mentioned this, is teaching people how to master their strengths. Mastering in a way of anchoring. Like, I want to teach you how to solidly anchor your strengths. So I teach people how to, like I said, I give them exercises. I give them very specific assignments, very specific routines, where when they wake up to when they're going to bed, there's very specific things that they need to do on the road to mastering their strengths, because that is the purpose. I'm not just want to introduce you into strengths. That's not my goal. But the truth of it is, introducing you into the Clifton Strengths Assessment is not my goal. That's not my goal. I don't want you to just take the assessment, because it's literally the first of a million steps you'll take. Taking the assessment is a tip of the iceberg. You see those things where, the iceberg, you see those pictures, the iceberg's out of the water, and you see this little teeny thing, but yet underneath the water, you see this massive mass. That's what Clifton Strengths is. Taking the assessment and having the assessment in front of you is just the tip. What's underneath, I promise you, just like when talking to Jill, right? It'll blow your mind. It will blow your mind when you get on the path of really mastering your strengths. So number one thing that you always want to make sure you have is a clear understanding. Okay. Ask yourself, do I have a clear understanding of my strengths? Do I know my report? Do I know the definition of the strengths? Do I know how each strength works? Do I know the value of each strength? Do I know how they play around with each other? Okay. Awareness. Now, this is another really good one when it comes time to strengths, is having a level of awareness. And I went back to, I take people through exercises and through specific specific things in order to figure out the awareness of their strength. So for example, if I was working with Jill, I want to find out where her empathy has not served her in a very specific instance. Or I want to find out where her empathy has served her, or her connectedness, or when she mentioned her activator. If I was working with her, if it was just a private one-on-one, I want to figure out what's going on inside of all these other strengths. And we kind of went through a little bit of that, so that we can make sure we're getting to our activator, so that we're aware of where has it not served you and where can it serve you. Because we have real neural pathways, we have real emotional memories, physical memories of things that have happened in our life that keep us prisoners, right? Or that keep us trapped. And so we don't trust the way we naturally think, feel, and behave. We don't trust that it actually serves us, because her activator didn't serve her one time, or her empathy or adaptability. We have all these ways in which our talents have self-betrayed us, that we're just not as confident as we need to be. And so understanding that awareness is how we switch into a level of confidence, which is appreciation. This right here, appreciation, is all about confidence. To get you to appreciate the way you naturally think, feel, and behave and thrive in it, right? People thriving in their strengths. I want you to thrive in who you are. Thrive in what makes you great. Thrive in what makes you amazing. That's the level of appreciation that you want. That you wake up in the morning knowing who you are, putting on that suit of armor of your strengths, being unique, being present, being engaged, and knowing that no matter what I do today, I'm going to be me and I'm going to be unstoppable. That is the level of appreciation that you want. Next is helping people understand in practicing and utilizing their strengths. So in practicing our strengths, sometimes we're practicing our strengths with, we're practicing our strengths doing, this could be part of, maybe you're doing, practicing your strengths, doing the dishes, doing laundry. I have people go through processes in, like as an entrepreneur, or they're coaching. So I teach them how to practice in their strengths, because I don't want to just teach you how to do your strengths with one specific goal. We want to practice them in everyday area of life. Date night, really whatever you're going to the gym, you're meeting someone, you're having a one-on-one appointment, right? Whatever it looks like at work, we want to practice utilizing your strengths. The next is apply them at what you do and what you want to do. This right here is where we start setting goals. This right here is when we set really specific big goals, and we're saying, okay, this is the goal that I want. This is what I want to achieve. Now let's create a framework, a game plan of utilizing my strengths, right, towards this game plan. So, or utilizing Jill's strengths, her empathy. So how, if she has a goal that she wants to reach, how does she put her empathy, her connectedness, her developer, her intellection, her activator, communication, right? All these great things, her adaptability. How do we create a framework, a game plan, so that all of those strengths line up with exactly the goal that she wants to achieve? So she stays in it, right? So she's playing it within how she wants to operate in it. Partnerships and relationships. This is a big one. This is one that I teach a lot about, and I focus on, is because people need to, this is important. You can't expect to move forward in life. And I love that Jill was so vulnerable about this, how she was talking to someone and she was, dismissing, right? We don't need connection. We need to, do the thing. And we can easily self-betray because we're so focused on the end result or the goal or what has to happen. Maybe we're focused on our own needs, right? Temporal needs. And so we lose sight of who we are in developing these partnerships and relationships. And this is incredibly important. And the last is, and this one right here, is self-expression and self-regulation. Self-expression and self-regulation is so critically important, because this is where, in my experience, people struggle with their strengths. It's not their bottom 5. It's not the strengths that they don't have. People struggle in expressing in their strengths and regulating their strengths. So in this case, Jill's empathy, right? Jill's connectedness, or her adaptability, her developer. Same thing for Philip. Okay, super clear. This right here, it's not my competition. It's not my harmony. It's not my intellection that's at my bottom 5. Those aren't the strengths that are holding me back. You know what's holding me back was my woo. My woo was holding me back. My number 2 strength was holding me back. My number 1 strength of positivity was hindering my relationship with my wife, because I didn't take time to let her have her feelings, because I was over positive, right? I was trying to move her through. That's what hindered me. So when I teach people how to self-express and how to self-regulate, I teach that in what's in your top 5, because that right there is where your magic is. That is what makes you unique. That is what makes you special. That's what you want to master. You want to master you. You want to master your top 5, master your top 10, where it's like what you wake up in the morning, boom, 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 boom. This is where we're in. That's where you want to be. And that's what's amazing about you. So if this is something that you're interested in doing and understanding this more on a deep level and working with me, this would be the next step for you, is to book a call with me. Book a call, and I'd love to help you. I'd love to help you understand the depth of your report. I'd love to understand the depth of you. I'd love to hear in your own words, what is it that you actually want? What is it you want? Write it down right now. Write down right now. What is it that what do you want? And then what would it mean to have what you want? What would it do for you to have what you want? And more importantly, what would it do for you if you could do it in the way you naturally think, feel, and behave? You often see other people having the success you want, but you see them go about it, right? And Jill mentioned this about, maybe the system works for other people or the person that created it, but it doesn't work for me. And that's part of the struggle, is that we think that we can only have success if we do it the way the other people did it. But I'm telling you right now, you can dramatically improve your life, your stress level, your passion, your emotions, by pursuing what you want in the way you do it, in what motivates you, in the process of you, and what motivates you. We can figure out what's holding you back inside of your talents. What is in the way? How can we recognize it? How do we work on it? How do we anchor what makes you great? How do we ground what's great about you so that everything you're doing is moving towards the direction you want to move? You want to move in the relationships, in your business, in every aspect of life, creating the life that you want. And it's possible, I'm telling you. And more importantly, it's not just possible, but it's fun. I love that Jill said this, right, about starting out the journey. Strengths is fun. What's not fun, and I love when she talked about this, right? When she mentioned that doing this system the way her mentor or the way the other person that created it, that's no longer fun. That removes the fun out of the very thing that we want to do. Relationships, business, being maybe a life coach, maybe being a yoga instructor like she is, right? Reiki. When we have to do all of the things that we're passionate about, but do them in the way that other people are telling us to be successful at it, that can be very difficult. Now, I'm not talking about we remove practices and principles. This doesn't mean you don't call people. Like, I promote my calls, right? I do lots of different things. I study, even though I don't have learner or intellection, but I only study about you. That's where I study. Like, I study you. You are my passion. You are my goal. You are what I want to understand more, because that's how I help you. And that's what I'm great at. And so that's what I study. That's what I own. That's where my learner input comes in, is only when it comes time to who you are, because my goal is to move you. My goal is to get you forward and get you on a path to dramatically, not a little bit, but dramatically change your performance and change your results to the results that you want, in a way that's fun, in a way that's passionate, in a way that resonates, in a way that you're like, I could wake up and do this every single day. That is living life in your strengths. When you can wake up every day and say, I am so excited to be me, and you throw on this cape, right? We're all superheroes. Don't you deny it. We're all superheroes. But the problem is, we're not throwing on the right capes, right? We want to throw on the cape of connectedness, adaptability, empathy, intellection, and developer, right? You boom, you tie this thing on and you're just like, wow, right? That's what we want to do. And you deserve to do that. You deserve to live life that way. So if this is something you'd like to talk to me more about, if this is something you're interested in, book a call. Go right here. Let's book a call and let's talk about you. Let's talk about where you want to go. Let's talk about what you want to do. And I'd love to help you get on the path. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much. So every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and every 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, every 10 a.m. every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, I do these interviews, Thriving in Your Strengths, where we introduce new people. We talk about new ideas, right? Maybe we even have an opportunity to do some coaching, but come join me. Come invite people so they can learn about what's amazing about them. Don't hold this information to yourself. Let's spread this. Let's spread this to the world, and let's validate that everybody deserves to know what's incredible about them. All right? Thank you so much. I love you guys. Have a beautiful day. Have a wonderful weekend. And I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.